It's good to be here this morning with the team in Reading. My name is Katy Griggs. I have been working with Latin Link in Ecuador for the past 20 years. How did I first get into mission? That's a good question, because I actually went on a step team, a very early step team, to Brazil, to Recife in Brazil in 1992. That was my first experience of Latin America and of mission, and I really loved it. But when I came back, I then kind of changed jobs, and I was kind of thinking, I'm not quite sure if Brazil is the place, because I found Portuguese very difficult to speak. But God didn't let me go, and about 6 years later, I think it was, about 5 years later, in 1997, I went on another short-term team with another organisation to Ecuador, and that was the kind of beginning, excuse me, of my kind of stepping into the story, so to speak, in Ecuador, because I went to work with a couple called John and Brenda Hart, and we were helping at the start of the construction of a new project that they had in Santo Domingo called Orphaids, which was basically providing a new home for children whose parents had died of HIV/AIDS related illnesses. And I was just drawn in by their enthusiasm, and I thought maybe this is something that I could get involved with. So after going to Bible college, I then applied to Latin Link longer term, and I first went out to Ecuador longer term in 2001. And yeah, that was the beginning of the story, and lots of things have kind of developed along the way. I've started working with other projects as well as Orphaids, but I've kind of had the continuing involvement with Orphaids over all that time. And now, yeah, it's amazing. They're coming up to celebrating 25 years in Santo Domingo, which is very exciting. Okay, so I had a short time back in the UK when I worked in the Latin Link office, and when I went back in 2010 to Santo Domingo, I started working with a project called Vida in Abundancia, which is Life in Abundance, which was set up by a CMS missionary who had experience in special needs education. She set up a project for children with learning disabilities, and I started working in that project as a classroom assistant, and I've been involved with that project now since 2010, sometimes helping in the classroom, sometimes doing administration, but we've seen kind of an interesting trajectory with the project, because we had a lot of children come in at one point, then we had the pandemic come, we had to change our way of doing things, and we're kind of starting off again. Well, over the last 2 years we've been starting off again a bit kind of with a smaller number of children, but yes, it's been fascinating to see the way the project has developed. And within the last year, I've also started helping with another project, which was kind of came out of the Vida in Abundancia project, because the children would leave us at the age of 18, and there isn't always something else for them to go on to. So another CMS missionary called Sharon Wilcox set up a project called La Orquídea, the Orchid Project, for older young people with learning disabilities, helping to teach them skills for life so that they can become more independent. And I've been helping out 2 days a week with that project, and it's really lovely to see at least 3 of the boys who were with us in the Vida in Abundancia project. They're now coming along to the Orchid Project, and now they've grown up. I mean, for example, there's one boy who has Down syndrome called Edward, who was with us in the Vida in Abundancia project from the age of 6 to 18, and he's now must be 21 or something like that. And it's lovely to see the way he has matured. He's still quite a handful, but it's so lovely to see the way that he is now. For example, we do preparation of simple meals, and he's there chopping up, you know, everything to prepare to make a soup or something, or a simple healthy breakfast. And that's something that he can do for his family, and he can help there and become a little bit more independent. There's another boy, Jonathan, who was with us in Vida and Abundancia. He's now with the Orchid Project, and he's also, one day a week, he's working in a hotel, getting some work experience, just kind of cleaning bedrooms, helping in the kitchen, all sorts of things. And that's giving him work experience for the future. So it's really, excuse me, lovely to see the way it's kind of developed, and the way that they've matured and are moving on. You can see the impact those projects are having on their lives. So that's great. Yeah, I love being part of the Latin Link team in Ecuador. We have a very diverse team in Ecuador. We have one other person in Santo Domingo with myself, who is Abby. Oh, and we have a strider, Lily, at the moment as well. And then we have a family who live over in the east of the country, the Bezema family, working in a very different ministry, working based at a mission hospital in healthcare. But we come together as a team once every 3 months, around that, and we get together for a weekend and we spend time together and we pray for each other, because we feel that that's one of the really important things of being part of Latin Link, is the mutual support. Because we all kind of understand each other's situations, we can pray for each other, we can give suggestions, advice. That's a really great thing about kind of coming into a Latin Link team. All the years of experience and advice that other members can give to you as you come into that is really valuable. And people can sympathise with your situation because you're coming from overseas, you're adapting to a new culture and all that sort of thing, and people can really encourage you along the way. So for me, it's been really important, you know, all the advice and support that I've received from former team members in Ecuador has been invaluable, really. So I really value that. And also getting together once every 4 years for the Latin Link Assembly, International Assembly, getting to know people from other country teams has been great, and getting to know people working in similar areas, swapping advice and experience has been invaluable, really. So I love being part of the Latin Link family. Well, it'll be really good to pray for the country of Ecuador. Some of you may have been following on the news about there have been various, the security situation in Ecuador has been challenging, and we've just had a presidential election. So we have a new president was elected on Sunday, and it's the sitting president. The existing president has been re-elected, and he has promised to try and address some of the major issues that the country is facing with gang activity, which affects the security of the whole country, which can be a bit of a concern for people. So really pray for the new president, whose name is Daniel Noboa. That would be good. Also pray for two of the projects that I'm involved with in Ecuador, Orphaids and Vida and Abundancia. They're both kind of been running now for 20-25 years, and we have to start thinking about what's the next 20-25 years going to hold, because we live in a world that is constantly changing, and the context is changing, and we need to consider how our working practices, maybe we need to do things in a slightly different way. So wisdom for all involved in those two projects as to what does the future hold, and how do we do that. And also I am thinking of possibly retiring within the next 5 years, so I need to start thinking of the lovely succession planning and handing over some of my roles to other people. There are people around, local people, who we need to kind of draw in as much as we can to take over some of my roles in those projects. So wisdom in kind of all that process would be really appreciated. Thank you.